amongst the righteous. And so what he was saying was that he gave an example of if you get hired for a job and your boss tells you you have to do these 4 things, and the next day he comes in and you just did one of the 4 things really, 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 really well, and you just ignored the other 3, you're fired, right? Yeah. But the other guy who just gets a passing grade on all 4 things, he's at least going to pass. It's the same thing with 5 daily prayers. 5 daily prayers are a must. So if you just do one and you just ignore all the others, and maybe it's just a trajectory to pray all 5 prayers the same way, that's different. But if you've made this blanket thing in your mind that, I only have time for one and I'm only going to do one very well, ignore the others, you're failing.
Yeah. Sometimes you've got a very merciful boss, and maybe that one, maybe that boss looks at that one thing you did really, really, really well and says, you know what, I told you to do 4, but I'll give you one more chance. Do the other 3, and maybe we'll still be good the next day.
Do you remember the
Yeah, the students say to me, okay, you're teaching us that God is so merciful, can we have an extension? I tell them, well, I'm not God, so.
I was going to say, I think it's also like a personality thing. Like maybe you're putting
might be intentions?
No, but also like, okay, so if you're saying, I will not do my prayer unless it's to perfection.
That's a problem.
But here's the thing, then you're following your nafs. Because Allah doesn't say that you're required to do it with perfection. He says you have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're creating your own...
You're creating your own rules, but I'm just saying that you're putting your own standards for yourself above obedience at that point.
It's all about obedience.
Right.
Again, getting to the real world scenario.
Just doing it.
I think for a person who is doing one prayer with ultra perfection, I don't see that as being sustained as only one prayer. I see that as an inevitable.
Yeah, your point
I agree.
Yeah.
Just sort of.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Suppose you apply to med school, you don't get in. No. Those who don't know, this is half of numerous questions. Yeah.
So, okay, in the ayah, why do they use people of truth?
They? You read Allah Ta'ala?
Like, why is truth used as an adjective instead of, like, any other, like, salihin or, like, anything else that would be righteous?
So, this is a wonderful question. I would add even why is taqwa here, too. Right. And so the idea being that the central aspect of good character is truth, right? Like the most central point of good character is truth, isn't it? Can you think of anything more central than that?
Justice, which is truth.
Justice would be, truth at the collective level.
Truth is absolutely the center of everything.
Sorry?
I agree. Truth is the core of everything.
What do you think?
I'm thinking.
Okay, look for something else. So even the core of being salihin would be truth. I'm sorry?
Compassion. I feel like
Aha. This is an interesting point. There's from the 11th century. There's this Sheikh Sadi, right, who wrote Gulistan, which I refer every once in a while, right, the Rose Garden, and one of the very first stories in his book, Gulistan, is disguised as advice for kings. Right, here's how you should run your kingdom. But it's actually more like the blues or like the chicken soup and soul type book. And one of the first stories is about a king who is about to execute someone. Okay? And that person who's about to be executed curses the king. Okay? And but the king didn't hear what he said. And the king has 2 advisors. And one is sort of a hawk and the other one's a dove. Okay? One is, take no prisoners justice, the other one's very compassionate, right? And so the hawk, the king asks the hawk, what did he say? And the hawk says, oh, he just cursed you. Then he asks the dove, what did he say? He said, oh, he just spoke out of pain, right? And he might have lied. Okay. And the king decided to free the guy, right?
What did Dove say?
I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look it up. I think he actually lied, saying like he expressed appreciation for the king or something. Yeah, right. Meaning he didn't say what the person actually said, right? And so then the king decides to free him, and he says it's because I know you want this guy killed, and I know you value life or something, and so I listened to the dove. But the point is that he was driven by compassion, but did he do the right thing? Right? Okay, so compare that to the ayahs on the punishment for zina. It says, don't let your compassion for them overtake what is the haq of Allah, right? So there are times when compassion is fine, but I'd say at the core of character, I wouldn't put it there. I'd say at the core of character is truth.
And getting back to numbers, my translation says, like in parentheses, it says, these are they who are true, like parentheses, to themselves. Is that like, I mean, because
Sadapu, that form, I think it's the people who, I don't see how they would be true to themselves.
Just because, like, I don't
Maybe
know.
some advanced rule that I'm not familiar with. Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, I think in the context of, like, being a good Muslim and, like, believing in Allah, like, it's like the truth of humanity, what our, you know, what our existence, what our reality is that's the truth, like, that's our reality to, like, fulfill all of these things. So I think in that sense it kind of makes sense.
Okay. No, I'm saying the meaning that you're saying
Okay.
makes sense. I'm saying I don't know if Sadapu.
Okay, yeah,
The
okay.
Yeah.
thought that I had is that when you think about it, truth is it's an objective thing, and compassion is subjective, so it could
Nice.
fluctuate.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah. That's a really, really good point.
How does sadaku translate? I mean, isn't haq truth? I mean, how does
Haq is like truth / reality,
Okay.
and sadapu is basically true. You know, I mean, among many words.
Like sadiq.
It's a
Okay.
deal.
Okay, listen. I see. I understand.
So is taqwa also there because it's like central?
So I thought it was like the whole shell.
Haq is actually reality, I think,
Yeah.
as opposed
I
to...
mean, haq is like truth
Yeah.
/ reality.
Okay.
Right, yeah. Because when you make it into a verb, it focuses more on rights.
Mhm.
So taqwa is like the whole shield. Yeah. I'm protecting all of this.
So laysa birra, no, and
Laysa
then
birra.
birra, and then with the ulaika humul muttaqun, and then both bir and taqwa are being equated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain further.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just noting that parallel there, that we're using two words, bir and taqwa, and equating them to righteousness in this translation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next section of the surah will be focusing very much on actions. So we've moved from character and other elements of character. Okay. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumul qisas fil qatla. O you who believe, prescribed for you is retribution in the case of murder. Okay. Now, listen carefully at this list and tell me anything. Is this in order of priority or anything else that you notice? Okay. The free for the free. Okay. The slave for the slave. The woman for the woman. Is this in order of priority? Or?
Can you explain what the preference is?
Yeah,
here?
I understand that.
Okay, so free man for free man, fine.
But what's the
Wait, what
preface
is-
here?
what is that- what is that
Prescribed for
before
you is
that?
legal retribution.
Okay, so murder. So eye for an eye.
Oh.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So a free for a free man for a free man, a slave for a slave, a woman for a woman.
Before Islam, the Arabs did not observe equality in retribution, but a stronger tribe would demand more. Example,
Okay.
a man for a woman, a free man for a slave, or several men for one white man. Likewise, for financial compensation. The intention of this verse is to insist on equality. A
Okay.
plus.
Wow.
No, no, but actually, so,
Yeah.
but I mean, in other words, it's in other words, because I still had trouble, even, taking that into account. When I read this, and, when you read this and you're memorizing it, I've still struggled I had still struggled with this until it was, the explanation that was given to me, that settled a little easier, was that the free man for his crime, the slave for the slave's crime, the woman for the woman's. In other words, just because a woman did a crime, that's the way it was explained to me. I don't know if that's that was an explanation that was provided to me that settled easier with me. I don't know if that's necessarily the way the Arabic would read.
Well, here first we're being given like what you'd call like the philosophy of the hudud. Okay. And the first thing that's being done there, it's criticizing their tribal practices, right? Because what's taking place? You kill one of ours, we kill one of yours. Okay. And then we're
it's
even.
not necessarily the person who killed. Like, that's I think, kind of confusing to me.
I don't understand what that means.
So, like,
You kill someone's family because they
if you
So,
kill like
so Mohi kills me, and then my daughter comes along and kills Suleiman.
like yeah, so yeah.
Sorry.
Great example.
Like Mohi's a Scott free.
I shouldn't make jokes like this.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm just saying like he's not the perpetrator is not being.
Yeah, he's not
It's
being
not
haunted.
the punishment is not on the perpetrator
So-
or
It's the
the
whole
law.
tribe.
So
Yeah.
the point being that the first thing that's being criticized is the way that they were doing it, right? Their type of retribution they were even doing was wrong.
what were
Right.
they doing?
Meaning, it's essentially, it was not necessarily killing the killer, right?
Okay.
You kill one of ours, we're gonna kill one of yours. And then, well, you killed the wrong one of ours, so we're gonna kill one of yours back.
Okay.
And what do you have? Aus and Khazraj, which is what took place in Yathrib before the Prophet came, right? It turns into civil war, or the Hatfields and the McCoys, right? You start out with something, and then someone does justice, but they don't do it right, so the other side.
Sounds like what happened last week.
Oh, Israel? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. I mean, throw in Netanyahu's tweet like vengeance, right? And then the next day a Palestinian kid gets killed, right? So yeah, but that would be exactly the same thing, right? That okay, they kill ours, we're going to kill theirs.
But this is like this ayah isn't saying like to do like kill the right person, right? It's saying like isn't there like blood money and all that thing and all that stuff in the song?
Yeah, that's in the second part of the ayah, right? But I mean, this ayah is first just laying out what we would call the philosophy of it, right?
I mean, it can still, when it on a Christian reading, sounds like it's still just revenge killing.
Sounds like it, yeah, so far.
On an aggregate level, but not like justice as we would think it is today.
Explain that latter part.
Okay, so meaning it's still endorsing tribalistic retribution, not seeking out the perpetrator of a crime and bringing that person to pay for the crime.
Mhm.
Saying that,
This
okay,
is-
our
this is-
people, your
he's
people,
getting
you
it.
kill one of ours, we'll kill
what I
one
was
of yours
told.
of the same level. A slave was killed on ours, we're gonna kill one of your slaves.
Mhm.
Even though that slave is blameless.
Mhm.
It still sounds like, on our sensibilities, this doesn't.
When I because I used to when I read it that way, that's exactly where I used to struggle with that. And
Yeah.
what was suggested was that what's actually being said is that if a slave is acquitted, the free for the free man's crime, just because he's a slave for the slave's crime, just because a slave killed a free man in your tribe, does not mean that now you have to take out a free man from their tribe. You killed a slave for his crime. If the woman committed a crime against somebody in your tribe, and he was the king of the leader of the tribe. Just because she was a woman and she took out the leader of your tribe does not mean that you take out the leader of your
that
tribe.
yeah.
You take out the woman.
That
That
woman, yeah.
woman is now. So
Is that right? Is that what it's saying?
So-
that's what settled with me. I don't know if I'm right. If that's
Well-
right. That's what just was taught to me.
So how does the ayah change if moving from al-hurru bil-hurri, it is hurrun bil-hurrin? I'm sorry, hurrun bi-hurrin. How does it change?
Oh, it becomes a singular
It becomes indefinite.
indefinite instead of
Right.
definite.
So the point is that that by making it definite, it's
Okay.
it's
Then it's what
basically-
he's saying.
yes.
Yeah.
See,
How does
see the
this
points
apply
being
to the present day?
So it doesn't matter if somebody from America goes and kills let's say the British monarch, they can't come out and say we're going to take out the American king.
President.
We're going to whoever assassinated the British monarch is responsible for the crime.
So we're so good.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And then of course it follows up with saying that forgiveness is better than all than taking revenge.
Okay, but what do we make about the fact that women are being mentioned here?
They're not off the hook for their crimes.
Well, even before that, at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the women had no status, right?
If they're committing the crime,
he's
the
giving them
women
that.
should be, they should be responsible for that.
So
That's what it is.
so one of the things that this is correcting is that it's giving women status, right? Even as criminals, right? Right? But the point is, the point being that then they had no status, right? And so all of that is being given. So we're given these categories. فَمَنْ أُوفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْءٌ. Yes, sir.
I wasn't clear as to why the order was as such. I mean, so what? I mean, obviously there's things that we can't know. But what not prevented, but why couldn't it be just a man for a man's crime, a woman for a woman's crime, and a slave for a slave?
Yeah, it could be. I would suggest that probably for that time, the fact that the woman's being mentioned is actually a corrective to them, right? It could have been the man for the man crime, woman for the woman crime. I don't think that practically would make much difference, right? But at that time, I take this as an emphasis, right? That rather than being listed within the list that we normally think of, it's being mentioned on its own, right? See what I'm saying? Like as though it was mentioned first, here being mentioned last.
And even if you think about it in
Where's
terms
his voice? Yes, yeah.
even if you think about it in terms of the status they had in society at that time, it's like the woman was less than the slave in that time.
Wouldn't
Women's property.
wouldn't a rich woman have more rights than a
The free for the free, working for the slave.
I would say probably yes, but we'd be talking about two people in a whole society.
Okay, I understand.
I mean,
Yeah, I
a
know. I
woman,
struggled with that. Was
I still have 5 minutes.
I know, I'm just,
Oh, it's handing them out when I was
So much time. Smell your
You're killing sugar.
Yeah, true.
Careful.
it's like injection.
There's not enough sugar in the dish, so we have to put some more.
but it looks pretty.
Yeah,
Good.
Nice. Oh, I thought there was sugar.
Continue with you. I will do a few more parts.
Aesthetics.
Aesthetics. Very important.
So then, whoever says "Ufiya lahu min akhihi shay'an," so whoever essentially overlooks, wipes off, forgives, okay, then there should be bil ma'ruf wa da' alayhi bil ihsan. So in simple language, if you commit a crime against me and I forgive you, right, you should still do some compensation, right? And so this is interesting. This is if you look at it from a biblical perspective, you're taking Deuteronomy and the book of Matthew and you're putting them together. Deuteronomy, which is Moses, Matthew, which is Jesus, peace be upon them, and you're putting them together. Because Deuteronomy is, murder for murder, okay, no question. And teachings of Jesus, forgiveness, right? So we're saying you have the permission for full retribution. Okay. It's better if you forgive. It's better for you, but even then, someone should be what we call blood money.
If you're representing somebody else, or you're getting whatever getting the revenge, not revenge, but getting the retribution or whatever for someone else, shouldn't you like get the full retribution and not forgive because it's not your place to forgive?
I don't know what that means.
Like if I'm representing.
So hypothetically, he kills me.
No. Okay. No. If I'm representing.
Say that again.
If I'm representing.
Oh, Sawan. Yeah, it's fasting.
I'm representing.
Mohi does not commit a crime against me.
If I'm representing somebody whose land was taken illegally, and I'm representing them against the perpetrator or whatever, I'm supposed to represent them to the full extent of the law and get them like as much as possible, right? As I can get them.
As much as they desire, right? If they want to forgive the person for having done the crime against them, that's their choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Totally.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Well,
I guess.
what about if
Yes.
a person, what if someone kills another
Someone
person?
not named Mohi
kills
kills someone whose name is not Omar.
Yeah, so person.
You got 30 seconds.
Person A kills person B, okay, and person B has person C as family. So should they take the full retribution, or should they?
So person C,
because it's someone else's right that was violated.
So
Life.
The actual choice is the victim's family. They're the ones who have the choice.
That's the choice.
Right. So the victim's family chooses. So person C, what you do? Okay. Okay. Time?
Camera.
2 minutes.
What?
3 minutes.
iPhones are dark outside, guys. Slower than Samsung.
It's okay.
No, it's 8.
What time is?
We have 8:30.
Okay, inshallah. Well, let's just make our deals anyway.
Yeah, finish this one.
Okay, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Our nourisher, please accept this from us and accept our tawbah, and you're the one who accepts repentance, and you're the hearing and the knowing. Oh Allah Ta'ala, for all those who are sick among us, please grant them shifa.
Ameen.
And for all of our understanding, please grant us the best of our understanding and make us forget anything that is not of benefit. Make your private du'as.
Sulaiman, come get ready for those who are your fasting. Sulaiman, those who are fasting, come down, be ready for break your fast. Sulaiman, come down. Not yet, it's almost time. Almost time.
We have like 30 seconds. Yeah, it's time. That's all.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله